You're muted. Ray.
Must have accidentally hit the button when I was sitting down.
Yep.
I do that a lot.
This particular headset has a very sensitive button on it. But yeah, I'm gonna cut all his coughing sounds like from every episode we do until he finally gets better. Auto-tune them slightly and just make a song.
This has been going on for a month now. This guy's gonna have so much material.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Good shit.
All right.
There's some more. Yep. Keep it coming.
No, you brought attention to it, you assholes.
So good.
No.
Welcome, manlings, to the World of Dragons podcast. I am Ray, third born of the winged serpent, great storm of the prismatic bay, scion of the temple of the moon.
Who is
And
evil and must be...
What?
I'm not evil and must be destroyed.
I was going to say, who is evil and must be destroyed. Sorry, go ahead, Dilettante.
I am Dilettante Redome, fourth and oldest of the great Redome clan, unifier of the 6 realms of Scalekin, banisher of the undead plight, ruler of the great ruby ziggurat, emperor of all dragon kind.
Hashtag not my emperor.
And I'm Bantam. Hi.
Hi. Minion Bantam. How are you doing?
Refuse. Absolutely refuse.
But you are a
Chief
minion.
of Staff. Yeah, Chief of Staff.
Yeah, but the problem is both of you want me on your chief of staff, and I
No,
can't.
you only have one dragon, and that's me, obviously.
No,
I do
it's
only
you.
have one dragon. Yep. Yep. Anyway, next subject.
I found him first, Dilettante.
I put the collar
I
on him.
rescued him. You can't collar other people's chiefs of staff. That's stealing.
He wasn't marked. I didn't know he was taken, so that's
trust
on
me,
you.
He was marked.
No, he wasn't.
Okay.
Well, he isn't yours anymore.
All right.
Shit, where the fuck were we?
We finished the introduction.
Oh, yeah, I was going to make fun of you for something in yours. Oh, apparently you said you were the fourth and the oldest? You can't be fourth and oldest. You're first and oldest.
No, I'm
not if
fourth
the other...
I'm fourth to carry the name, but the oldest in the bloodline. Currently, that's still alive.
You could still be the fourth born, and the other 3 are dead.
Exactly.
Oh, okay, I guess that's fair too. Okay,
Exactly.
I'm sorry. No, Duranto is older than you.
That's debatable. We're still trying to figure out if he's part of the Redome clan or not.
He's more of the clan than you are.
That's...
Direct descendant of Tyrannus. Your father married a commoner, and so you're only half royal?
No, I'm full-blooded royal. Where are you getting this heretical talk from?
This is the
This is
D&D
ground.
lore.
No, this is grounds for a beheading.
I'm not part of your empire, so you can't do shit to me.
You're still talking shit about me, and I can still order you to be beheaded, so guess what? You're losing your head. That's how it works.
I don't think that's how it works.
Yeah, if I can just say, hey, you're getting beheaded, and then boom.
No, because that's a declaration of war then.
Yeah, I don't think so.
And I don't think kings beheaded other kings. But I don't know enough about human history to say for sure.
No, absolutely. Like when a king kicks another king's ass in a war, they pretty much take him and then behead him right in front of other people and be like, hey, this guy sucked.
No, but I think killing off the people's king is usually a really bad thing because it martyrs them.
Yeah.
So you usually just kind of banish them to a really fancy estate out in the middle of nowhere
To
where
keep
they're
them
cared for
comfortable.
the whole life.
Yeah, to keep them comfortable, and they're like, you know what? I don't have to deal with people anymore. This is good.
Well, not if you humiliate them first, then behead them. Trust me, it works.
Good God, no wonder you have so many uprisings in your kingdom. Jesus Christ.
They don't last long. Don't worry about it.
Anyway, so this episode we will be reviewing Vainqueur the Dragon by Maxime J. Durand. And I think this is the first book that Dilettante's actually really enjoyed.
I love this start to finish. I was
Although
laughing.
you kind of did like Tooth and Claw, so this might be the second.
Tooth and Claw was... It took a while for me to get invested into it. Like the first half, I'll admit, it took a long time for it to click. Vainqueur, I fell in love with like the first chapter.
That's pretty fast, yeah. So Bantam, what were your overall first impressions then? Did you love it?
All right. So, I'm gonna be. I'm gonna be honest. The book started off kind of. It was all right. It started to gradually climb, but then fell off a fucking cliff for me. I I understand that this is supposed to be comedy, but
Did it get a little too silly?
it got way too silly for me. It just I'll save it for the spoiler part, but like there's so many quote unquote villains in here who are just like Saturday morning cartoon villains that their motivations are so fucking dumb, and like they literally were following a script so that they could get killed by the hero, and it's like, oh my god.
I disagree, but we'll get into that when we can actually talk about who the villains were.
Yeah, the what could have made this book like 10 times better for me is, and I mentioned this to Ray in private. There's too much comedy in this. One thing needs to go away. Either the narrator, who is essentially like, I guess, the game system, or whatever, where whenever someone levels up and they're like, you gain blah, blah, blah. Either that person needs to be funny and the characters need to be serious, or the characters need to be funny and the narrator needs to not be silly. Because the amount of times where it's like, by being a complete moron, you gained one level. It's like, what game system would do that to you?
The best game
It
system?
it was too much. It was too much for me.
Bantam overdose, that's what happened.
Yeah.
Okay, so listeners, the book is a LitRPG. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it.
Yes.
I've never heard it said out loud before. But it is the genre where RPG tropes are taken seriously, like usually because it's a literal game you get uploaded into, a la Sword Art Online or Dot Hack or whatever. Or it's a reincarnation-based storyline, like a lot of the anime coming out lately, where there is actually a leveling up system, and the book just uses that.
If you ever want to see your own stats in universe, you just say menu, and then holographic interfaces pop up that only you can see.
Yep. This particular story is a reincarnation story, set in a pretty generic fantasy world, though there are hints of Magitech because they have a lot of technology from the real world that bleeds over it here and there. I guess Bantam would call it a comedy. I would call it a comedy. I don't think it's quite far enough to be considered satire.
No, it's not making fun of anything, so it wouldn't be satirical.
It's the characters don't reference the game rules / world itself enough for it to be satire.
Okay, so it's just comedy. There are a lot of pop culture references, though.
Yeah, that, I'll admit, did kind of take me out of it. Especially the Darth Vader reference. I was like, why?
Just because they had the voice. That's literally the only thing that brought it on, was they had a voice that was very similar to Darth Vader's voice, and so they said, I am your father.
Yeah. It got to the point where halfway through the book, or I guess maybe a quarter of the way or third, I don't know, but when the kobolds showed up, that was what kept me going. I love the kobolds.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to retract it. I'm going to say it is satirical only because of the parts going into the end. I'll get into that in the spoilers.
Yeah, I would call it satirical, but it's not
heavily
satirical.
focused.
Yeah, it's not very heavy.
I think what bothered me most about this book was that it started off like a D&D campaign where you had a clear goal and then just went off the fucking rails, and nothing made any sense anymore. It was like the main characters going on side quests, and those side quests leading to other side quests.
So that's literally our D&D campaign.
Yeah, it's not the first.
He's got you there.
It's not the first D&D campaign, which I liked a lot more than the one we're playing now.
The first one I reviewed you guys kind of heavily because
and I loved it. I loved it. I loved the story, but the second one, it's like I'm losing interest because we have no goal. But anyway, so I don't know if this will be spoilers, but in the beginning of the book, it starts with Viktor trying to steal a sword from Vainqueur. And, Vainqueur is like, I'll kill you, but I'd rather see if you're telling me the truth first about, who sent you here. And he then finds out about, he through his own arrogance, he ends up gaining player levels.
Yeah, Victor accidentally tells him about the game system, and becoming aware of the system is all that you need to start gaining levels. So this is basically a massive CR legendary monster that is now gaining class levels.
Yeah. And so Vainqueur, his primary goal is to find out who put Victor up to stealing from his horde and destroy them and anyone coming after him. But then it just spirals into this nonsense.
I wouldn't call it the prime goal. That was definitely like a first on the to-do list, but it was definitely over in like 10 minutes. His prime goal is to just use this system to get stronger and to get richer because he just wants to make his horde bigger.
Yeah, like any dragon would.
Uh-huh.
I think what set it on the wrong path for me was Vainqueur's reaction to everything the most, because he started off very serious, very noble, very, matter of fact and, black and white. And then he, starts poking people to death because he, I poked him and he died. And it's just like he starts getting silly. Like
he's discovering a whole new way of doing things.
But that doesn't counteract apparently hundreds of years of doing what he's always done. All of a sudden now he's aware of this other thing and he starts just completely becoming silly. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, you're allowed to have wrong opinions.
Exactly.
Vainqueur was adorable the whole way through.
Oh yeah, no, I loved him.
Yep. But yeah, this is the second silliest LitRPG I've ever read. The first silliest was really wonky because I don't know. I don't know how to explain it without like super spoiling it, but it was just some of the interactions between the characters and the game system itself. It's like one of the characters had a eureka moment only because the game system gave him a side quest. He's like, oh, that obviously means he basically metagamed it. Yeah.
Is it?
It's not one that you've read. No.
Oh, okay. All right. That's all I need to know.
So aside from how silly it was and how many pop culture references and all that, what did you guys think about the writing style? Like ignoring the I can't think of the word. The overflowing satire.
The writing style was pretty middle ground for me. It was acceptable. There were a lot of the things that always aggravate me, where after every single line that everyone says, they say, like, and then he grabbed the sword, said Victor. Blah, 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 said Vainqueur. Blah, 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 said Victor. It's like, I noticed it. There was actually one chapter where it became so painful to listen to. It's like, especially in an audiobook, I understand, but the way you format a physical book, it doesn't always become necessary to have the character name and how they explained it, it's hard. But when I hear said so-and-so like 15 to 20 times in a 30 to 45 second gap, it becomes excessive. But the writing was pretty average. I mean, there were no words I didn't understand, like couchant, and it's gonna become.
I still love that word.
That word is gonna fucking haunt me for the rest of my life.
I will give credit where credit is due, at least to the character development. Each interaction was unique in its own way, from the kobolds to Vainqueur, Victor, the werewolf city. Everything had its own unique spin, and I did enjoy that. Nothing ever felt copy pasted, at least to me.
Yeah, I felt like all the I guess let's just call them NPCs. They all had their own personality, and no, I was never confused who was speaking at what point because they at least had their own unique mannerisms and talking styles and all that.
Oh, speaking of talking styles, I love how they did Vainqueur's voice in the audiobook.
Yeah,
it's fucking 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I guess we'll segue into the narration. As far the reader who read the book, who was the narrator? I'm gonna look that up so we can give him credit real fast.
Was it all just one reader?
Yeah. It always is. And again, I'm going to be a dick, and I'm going to say that audiobooks need to hire a female and a male, because his female voices were atrocious.
Right, I want to interject. I'm going to copy paste this probably. Narrated by Jack Voraces. I think that's how you pronounce his name.
His voices for Chocolatine and the dryad chick, and almost every one of his female voices were painful to listen to.
Okay, Jacqueline was intentional, though.
Yeah, she was hillbilly. Felt like it.
Oh,
Yeah,
I got a bone
I
to
will-
pick with
I
that
will-
hillbilly voice, by the way.
I will take back one thing I said where I was never confused on who was talking. There was one time, and I think it's mostly the narrator's fault. His voice for Allison and I can't remember the names. His voice for the paladin lady and for the dryad lady were very similar.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall good performance. He does do a little bit of editing with the Vainqueur and Furyborn's
A little
voice.
bit.
Adds a lot of reverb. It makes it sound like Vainqueur the Dragon is psychic, because usually, at least to me, in audio reproductions, when you add a lot of reverb, it means they're mentally talking to you.
Yeah.
Not me. I felt more of like a
He's
massive,
talking.
like a, not psychic, but more of a, just a massive beast vibe. Like the reverb coming from a large creature.
I guess maybe I'm just too used to that being the technique used for psychic entities.
I never heard many psychic entities, so I can't say.
Yeah, you never read books before I got a hold of you.
Books are evil. Now, I grew up in the accelerated reader program when I was in school. So it's where they were trying to like force books down your throat. You can only read the select ones, and those were always the most boring fucking
God.
things. That's what turned me off from reading in general.
Yes, I will say that my hatred of books stems directly from school. Being forced to read To Kill a Mockingbird or just all those standard, like, here's the 10 books that everyone hates reading. We're going to make you read them, and then we're going to make you do an exhaustive report on it. And it's like, I hate all these books. There was when my little brother went to school, they had, you had to read 15 books throughout the school year, but you could choose them. They could be anything you wanted, and then do a report on it. You're basically educating the teacher on the world and the characters, and that is great.
Yeah, that's how my school did it.
But
I wasn't never forced to. I think I was only forced to read 3 books in my entire schooling career.
But it's like, don't make me read To Kill a Mockingbird or, Macbeth or whatever. It's like, none of those are interesting books to me. Pride and Prejudice, ugh.
No, the only books I was forced to read were Of Mice and Men, To Kill a Mockingbird, and Sniper, I believe it was.
The one I know what that one is.
It's the one with the Wildcat Reserve.
Oh, never mind. No, I don't.
Yeah. Basically, someone rescues wildcats like tigers and lions that were as pets and then couldn't be taken care of anymore or whatever. And there's a person who is sniping them out from far away. So he's just killing these wildcats on this reserve. But yeah, every other book that I read, I got to choose. I had some very bad choices. Like, I thought it would be cool, and I would I would wow the teacher if I read and did a report on freaking... Shit, I can't remember the name of the book. I hate it that much, but it was terrible.
Warriors?
The Kitties?
The Kitties one?
No, I read that for fun. No, fuck.
Hell, I'm thinking back. I can't even remember if there's any kind of fantasy book on the accelerated reader list.
See, I think that's the thing, is that for me, I like reading fantasy. I don't like reading, nonfiction.
Historical fiction.
Historical
Yeah.
nonfiction is the most boring thing you could ever force a child to read. You see all those memes, or you see, PSAs where they're like, take a magical journey and learn about a different culture. And it's like, yeah, I'd love to. But unfortunately, I'm learning about France in the 1500s. It's like, I don't...
That's not magical.
It's like,
Yeah.
I actually want to go on a magical adventure to some far-off land. Don't put me in fucking England in the Middle Ages.
Yeah, the book I tried to impress my English teacher reading, and I ended up hating my decision. Gone with the Wind.
Oh, you poor soul.
Yeah, no,
You
never again.
poor soul.
Whatever. Okay, off topic. Holy shit.
No, that was an important topic, and you know it.
Let's just talk about our English teachers now. Oh, fun fact, Dilaten. I left one of your coughs in the interview, and somebody really loved it. It's their new ringtone, apparently.
What?
Yep.
Okay.
Someone on the Reddit timestamp saying this is my new ringtone.
Glad I could help you out, fan. Need any more material, just let me know. All right, we
Okay.
left off on the reading style.
Yeah, so the writing style and the narration style, which I think we are more or less good with.
Well, you and I are good with Bantam, though.
Well,
No,
Bantam's already complained about they need
it's-
to have a female voice actor.
But that's not against this book. It's against every book. And you know what? I don't if you're gonna charge on Amazon $10, like just make it 15. Make it 15 and give me a second voice actor, because female readers cannot do dude voices and guys cannot do female voices. It's awful. The only time I've ever heard a guy doing a good female voice in an audiobook is when it's like an orc or some sort of brutish woman. But having a guy talk like this all the time sounds really fucking dumb.
No, I loved it.
No.
That was a pretty good female voice.
Shut up.
I'll give you some head pats.
Do I gain a level for pleasing you?
You gain 1 level in Court Jester.
Oh, God.
Oh yeah, so this particular game system has a lot of bullshit classes like that. Like, there's a character later on who's a level 68 farmer.
Okay, well that's not a bullshit class.
No, the point is, it's like, it's not what you would expect.
Yeah.
No,
He's
not even close.
What was he? He was an Iron Golem who
Yeah.
she's like, he's level 68, and Victor's like, oh my God, that's great. And he's like, it's all in farmer though.
Yeah. Basically, I want a RPG system that uses this class system because it sounds wonderful.
Oh, yeah, except it's completely contextual. You didn't know what the hell you're going to get.
Yep. Max level is 100. I award the classes based on what you guys have been doing. You get a perk every 2 levels, and at some point you can combine 2 classes to create a third one if you want. It sounds like a lot of fun. It might be a bitch to run, but I'm up to the challenge.
Oh, yeah, no, it's going to be an absolute nightmare to run. You know it.
I love player options like that. That's why Pathfinder is better than D&D. Them's fighting words. Come at me. All right. It's been a while since we've done a book. I can't remember what the questions we asked before the spoiler section usually are.
I will say that the path that the main character went down throughout the book, I absolutely 100% like. It kind of aggravated me that he was kind of just like, whatever about it.
The main human, the main dragon character, because I would say they're equal.
Yeah, main human. So he, almost every single class level that he got, I would probably have dove on. Becoming a monster squire, being able to talk with beasts and, give them levels, like, that's my dream. Because just like we discussed on Golden Treasure, like, I would be collecting creatures. I would have like my own little army of, followers, because that's
a good chief of staff.
Yeah.
So overall, you enjoyed the story? Like,
Overall,
style aside, the story, the adventure they went on, the plot kind of made sense to you?
yes. Overall, I enjoyed it, but there was a point in the book where I had to aggressively force myself through it. And I think it's actually it was the Furibon arc. It was really starting to get to me with
I loved that arc. I love Furibon.
It's like, I understand that they can't just kill him because he's a lich, but goddamn, that whole arc just aggravated the piss out of me.
Well, that's the point of Furibon. He's just an aggravating lich.
Yeah.
He's an immortal troll.
I think what bothered me most was, as I said, most of the villains in this book are comically stupid. And it's like, if Furibon really had all this power and would constantly show up to piss them off, why does he not just try to kill them, like, repeatedly?
Because that's not...
We'll get into that in spoiler section. I think it's okay to mention names and species, but we shouldn't really talk about motivations and instances and all that.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, Dilatan, the plot made sense to you? You okay with the plot?
Oh, yeah. Especially love how it ended.
Is it the kind of adventure you would go on?
It's not the adventure I would expect to go on. I can sympathize through Victor just losing his shit as Vainqueur tries to struggle to become an adventurer. I love the whole beginning part of him trying to understand it. As far as the Vainqueur I'll kind of sympathize with Bantam on this. It did kind of get a little repetitive during the Vainqueur arc. But then once he moved on, yeah, no, I fell back in love.
Okay. Let's how best to go about this without like spoiling. Let's kind of review the Vainqueur character himself real fast, just because like most problems with dragon characters is they don't feel like a dragon, human in a dragon suit kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
Or like they don't show up enough, or they shapeshift and so they're not even a dragon or whatever. So let's just kind of give a brief review of how the book handled dragons themselves, because that's the whole point of the show, is to help people find stuff that actually shows off dragons in a good way.
Yeah.
Well, good news, he never shapeshifts. He's a dragon the entire time. He's accidentally stepping on people and falling through houses and basically not giving a shit about his giant size and causing massive mayhem while he's trying to learn to be an adventurer. I absolutely love it.
I do love the very first instance that he shows up in a human village or settlement or city or whatever, where the whole thing that gets him out of his cave is he needs to check with the Adventurers Guild to see that there actually was a quest put out to steal from his hoard. And he just rams his head through the building, which like collapses an entire wall. And then Viktor just kind of strides in like, oh, sorry about that. And it's like, yeah, I love that shit.
It was pretty good. Personality-wise, he definitely does not act like a human, correct?
No, he's 100% arrogant, 100% of the time.
I will say that the only thing that I'm kind of disappointed about, maybe I just missed it, is they never really described how big he was. So in my head, he kept fluctuating between like giant warhorse size or, so incomprehensibly huge that like he would smash a building just by trying to land in the street.
Well, they never sat down and said he was this big from nose to tail or whatever, but you kind of get it through contextual clues. Like when he's flying, he's carrying Viktor in his hand, like in his palm. And then he's also big enough to just kill people with a single finger because he pokes them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he's pretty up there as far as size goes. And of course, him being a main character, he stars very prominently. I would say 85-90% of the time he's on screen.
Yeah, there's like maybe a few chapters that deal with off-screen lore and plot and such, but then it jumps right back to Viktor and Vainqueur. The spotlight's on them like 90% of the time.
Yeah, the point of view does jump around a bit, so you'll get like a scene here or there from like the villain's point of view or from some other random NPC, but it does hover around the human Viktor and the dragon Vainqueur a lot. Is that basically everything to cover before spoiler?
I think so.
Okay, so Dilla 10, X out of 5 stars, and would you live here in this world?
5 out of 5, and absolutely if I can get a critical finger death poke.
Well, I don't think he was getting critical hits because he was using his finger. I think he was just doing so much damage that he was like, I should keep doing this.
No, he got I think he started like leveling up as a gladiator, and as people kept cheering him on, he kept getting more like chances of critical, so he just pokes people and they explode from just the sheer amount of critical damage he was doing.
I just assumed he was just squashing them beneath a finger like you would a bug.
Yeah. No, it did say that he was poking him with his claw. So I assume he was just stabbing them. I don't know.
Oh, so the way dragons handle pretty much their own little hordes is little tiny kingdoms, minions and castles and shit. I love it. It's 10 out of 10.
Yep. Bantam, same question.
Yes, I would. This is the first. I think this is actually the first place that I would go live. Only because it seems super stupidly easy to level if you put your mind to it. That's the other thing is like, Viktor wasn't very high level, and I think he only had levels in Rogue or whatever. And then while I think
it was Outlaw, but yeah. Basically a thief class.
And he's like, I'm only level 7. And, by the end of it, his levels exploded because he was essentially being power leveled. But I feel like, if someone can farm for several years and become level 68 farmer, it's not hard to gain levels. And it kind of amused me when Viktor was talking about this one guy who, oh my god, he's level 36. That's like so high. And it's like, what?
And then he gets one shot by Vainqueur.
Yeah, and then he gets one shot by Vainqueur. But it's like...
not a spoiler, because it's like chapter 3,
Yeah.
so it's super early on.
Yeah. But
yeah,
I would live
a weird
here.
thing to note about the high levels is in this system, there are level ceilings at 30 and 60 that you need a special artifact to bypass that are extremely rare in the game system. It's quote, the real world, but it's a game system. Awards it to you randomly based on like certain deeds or whatever. So the fact that it's like a level 68 farmer is like he's already gotten both of his class artifacts.
Yeah, the first...
From doing what?
The first one
Farming.
The first one was growing a golden carrot, and the second one was finding a golden trowel. Done.
Basically. X out of 5, you didn't give it a star rating. Bantam.
3.5 out of 5.
Okay, I would say 5 out of 5, and I would live here. Most of my comments for living here are dragons OP, and yes, they are.
If I got to live here with either one of you or both of you, then yeah, that would definitely give me a 5 out of 5 because you guys could help me power level.
This is also the first world where dragons aren't on the brink of extinction from humankind, as if like the previous 5 books we've read.
That's true.
Yeah.
They do throughout the book. They do send people after Vainqueur quite often, and he's just like, ugh,
He gets so annoyed.
and just
Yep.
eliminates everything. And it's almost like Overlord levels of OP, and I love it.
Oh yeah, I guess this would count as an OP protagonist book.
Yeah.
That could be better or worse for some people, so we should throw that out there. I guess right before we go into spoilers, I guess let's just talk a little bit about the dragon culture in this world. Just like what differentiates it from other dragons and other media. We probably should have done that before saying if we would live here, because that's like the whole reason we would live here or not. So first off, dragons their arrogant style is turned up to fucking 11, right? Pain and death are birth defects that they do not think that they can feel. If a dragon dies, it's like, oh, that's terribly sad. He had a birth defect. Oh no.
Yeah.
I hope his daughter didn't inherit it or whatever.
Do they, again, maybe I missed it, but do they explain whether the dragons are given the nicknames by people who they've, like Vainqueur's got all these titles. Were they given to him?
Self-proclaimed.
Self-proclaimed?
Self-proclaimed nothing.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, they give it to
Oh,
themselves.
okay. I was gonna say, because if humans gave them like, oh, it's the Bane, the Knight's Bane, and he's just like, hey, I kind of like that, I'm gonna take it. That would be probably better for me.
No, because dragons don't talk to food, which is what they consider humans and everything else.
Yeah.
That's why one of the earliest roles that Viktor gets is he becomes Vainqueur's animal translator, because dragons do not talk to these lesser beings.
Yeah.
Also, if he speaks more than 20 words, he immediately gets bored and zones out. I love
Well,
it.
that's just because his intelligence scores down. That's also just very dilettante.
Hey.
In this world, dragons are exceptionally greedy, hoard all the shiny things. Their hoards are their most important attribute, which is extremely cliche, but like we said, this is a kind of satirical novel, so it's alright.
Apparently, dragons will hold boasting parties to show off their hoards to other dragons.
Bragging day.
Bragging day, so they can proclaim to everybody else, hey, I've got the biggest hoard now, bitches.
Yep. Catching princesses is a time-honored tradition.
It's like a sport.
Yep.
He mentioned several times throughout the course of the book, like, it always seems kind of like a joke when he says it, but he's always just like, I wonder if there's a princess to capture. Like, he's always on the lookout for a potential princess to grab, just for the fun of it.
Yep, they do mention every now and then if it's the princess hunting season or the off-season, so that's a thing. They also have one minion that's like their favorite, becomes the chief of staff, handles all the duties for them. That's what Viktor becomes. That's what Bantam is.
Apparently having undead minions is a high social status, too.
Oh yeah, apparently it is. That does come up at one point. The dragons view their minions as their emergency food supply. There is a chain of command, which is also called the food chain.
Which I love.
Yeah, it was a pretty nice touch.
Unacceptable.
But yeah, overall, it's a very generic fantasy. Dragons are, quote, monsters and bad guys setting, but they are at least intelligent, can talk, and have names and all that, so gets a pass.
Ray approved.
The only, I think, bad mark I would give it is that they still live in completely unfurnished caves, which is just it's a point against being civilized, so they really are literally just intelligent monsters. but it's okay. I still enjoyed it.
Well,
The book was fun. What are you welling?
well, I was gonna add on that I don't know about where the other dragons live, because Vainqueur does essentially become civilized and move to a castle later on.
Yeah, but the point being is that he started off just chilling in, a cave. And it's like if all they cared about was like he did show interest in like a castle later as like, well, fine, I'm going to take this castle, and it's like, well, why didn't you take one in the first place? I can't imagine that it's comfortable, being in a cave. Like even Victor, I think at one point didn't he complain like it was cold and it uncomfortable?
I know he complained it was cold, but I don't know if he mentioned comfort at all. But also, these dragons get points because they take lava baths. I do love me a good lava bath.
That just sounds very unhealthy.
Well, it's because you're not fireproof. All right, ready for intermission?
Yes.
All right, so there you go. Hopefully we didn't forget anything important to mention. And that's enough information for you listeners to decide if you want to read this book or not. We all recommend you do. It's very fun. 15 hours on Audible. Don't know how many pages the physical copy is, but it's quite a beefy one. I would actually say this is basically 2 books in one. I think they could have cut the book in half, considering there's like 2 major plot lines that happened one after the other. So it's a pretty beefy novel. But all right, I guess we will see you in a bit.
All right, see you soon. Welcome back, listeners. You have gained 1 level in listening to music. It comes with no perks, sorry. I don't know.
That was pretty dumb. Imagine you only get 100 levels total and you just get randomly assigned 1 for listening to music. You're like, God damn it, no. Your level cap gets eaten up by just useless stuff.
That would be my levels.
If there was a way in universe for you to purge levels, though, that would be great, though. Because then you could, designate 10 total levels to just a couple here or there of just random BS.
Well, I feel like the system does take your wishes into account, because, Victor never got any of the, quote, bad class levels until he came to terms with it.
That's true.
And with, the sheer amount of classes that they seem to have, I feel like somebody would have gotten an accidental level here or there that they weren't expecting.
The sheer amount of class, I swear to God, the game makes them up as it goes along.
Yeah, it has to.
Though, yeah, Monster Squire, that would be the very first thing that I'm attempting to get.
Well, you got that when you pledged your loyalty to me, so... Yeah.
All right. I'm saying, if I were zapped into this world by myself, whatever. Yeah, first thing I'm doing, I'm going to go find some beasts, and I'm going to be nice to them, and keep doing that until I get a level in Monster Squire.
You've gained a level in the Herpetologist class.
Awesome.
You unlocked the Parcel Tongue perk.
Awesome.
That would probably exist in that world, honestly.
Well, the amount of pop culture references, yeah.
Yeah.
So now that we're in the spoilers, I can tell you what the actual plot is centered around. It's centered around an artifact called the Apple of Knowledge. And the Apple of Knowledge is a fucking iPad that ended up over here from Earth. And it belonged to, I think it was a Boeing engineer, someone who worked on, airplanes and whatever. And apparently, everyone looks at it as if it's some sort of powerful artifact where by possessing it you gain incredible knowledge, but it's literally just an iPad.
No, it's got knowledge on it. It counts.
Yeah, it's got blueprints.
In a medieval fantasy world, this would totally be an ancient artifact.
Yeah.
Was he able to connect to the internet with that? You actually Google stuff?
No, they never bothered going to the internet. Everything that he found on it was already downloaded on it.
Yeah, so there was probably a couple seasons of Power Rangers. There were blueprints for hot air balloons and rockets and yeah. And it's just happened to be in the possession of a bunch of kobolds who all happened to be the right colors to be the original 5 Power Rangers, which was absolutely charming. I loved them. Like, there have been other video games or other things that have tried to, like, I guess you could say, rip off the Power Rangers, and it's always kind of cringy. But I guess because of the way I am, when you make it kobolds that are doing it, it's suddenly okay. Like, I understand how that for me, it's like if it were a bunch of people who are, wearing colored plate mail and they're like, yeah, I'd be like, you guys are stupid.
Like a bunch of rainbow colored shovel knights.
Yeah, that's stupid. But you make it kobolds, and suddenly I'm all about it.
Especially the voice he does for him.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so what was the funniest part of this book for you guys?
Okay.
God, that's gonna be hard to pick.
I already know what mine is, so I'll just go.
Okay, got like top 3 then.
My favorite part in this whole book was so I wasn't sad. I was a little sad when at one point 2 of the kobolds are killed by one of the bad guys, and Viktor ends up reviving them as undead, and so basically all their flesh melts away and they're literally just skeletons, but their bones are recolored the same color that their scales used to be. Was it yellow and blue that died?
Yes.
Yeah. So basically they become a yellow and a blue kobold skeleton, and Kobones, and they call themselves Kobones. They have a cool undead voice that they can use whenever they want, and so one of them is just like Doom. And he's like, "Oh God, no! They're mindless." And they're like, "No, we're just fucking with you." Like, and then they start talking about how cool it is that they have no organs and that they don't need to eat food or whatever. And I was like, it's semi sad, but if they're okay with it, I'm okay with it, I guess. But that was the funniest moment for me, is when they were trying out their cool undead voice.
How about before they're raised and they're like, "We will sell their bodies and put the golden Master Vainqueur's sword."
That made me sad.
So they will live on forever.
Yeah, that made me sad. And I'm really glad that what happened to the kobolds is where it went, because if they did just sell the bodies and then try to replace them. And in the same, I guess you could say, couple pages, when they're right after blue and yellow die, and the other kobolds, black, red, and pink, were like, "Oh, we should replace them. Can we go for a green or a white?" Like, and I was like, "Oh wow, they're going full into the Power Rangers." But that was my favorite moment in the book.
God, it's so hard for me to pick one because my actual favorite moments are from book 2. So it's like, what was my favorite moment of this book? I liked a lot of the moments where it was just basically fuck Viktor. Shit. I don't know. Dilettante, give us yours while I think.
The few interactions between Viktor and Vainqueur I did like. One where Vainqueur gets extremely jealous and offended when Viktor starts talking to a wyvern.
Yes,
and
that
thinks
was
he's cheating. He thought he was cheating on him.
I even gave you custody of our first minions. And Viktor's like, "I don't like how this conversation's going, Your Highness."
That there was a part in that sequence that actually made me sad. It was the only part of the book that I actually kind of went, "Oh," and it was when, he tells Vainqueur, no, I was doing this, blah, 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 blah. And there's this one throwaway line where they're all celebrating and they've all made up and everyone's happy. And the wyvern is sulking in the corner. And that hurt me.
Yeah.
I'll comment on this. It's kind of a semi-spoiler, like really, really minor spoiler of an interaction in book 2. But because it's already referenced in the second bonus chapter at the end of this first book, I think it's okay. But Pink Ranger ships them very hard because of these interactions that they have, Vainqueur and Viktor, and she writes fan fiction about them. And anybody who reads the fan fiction starts to suffer from mental ailments like confusion or fear or berserk. That is like my absolute favorite part. It's just how into the ship culture Pink is, and just how it's beautiful. I enjoy most of the Fairyborn arc, particularly when they started referencing it as the War of the Horde. And just I only very, very barely at all played World of Warcraft, but I still love the For the Horde references that kind of happen.
Oh, so that's what I was referencing. I was what?
Yeah, the War of the Horde.
the talking about Furibon, so the one thing that, like, because there's so many characters who try to insult Vainqueur or hurt or attack him or whatever, and he just like ignores it, or he's like, ugh, annoying. Furibon is the only one who ever really gets under Vainqueur's skin by turning all of his gold into lead. And it shatters his brain. He stares at the gold for like 30 seconds, and then he just goes fucking ape shit and just starts savagely attacking his castle uncontrollably, and Victor's like, oh, that's unfortunate.
In hindsight, probably not my best idea.
Okay, no, that reminds me of another funny bit.
No, let me say mine first because I just thought of one too, and I don't want you to steal it.
Hold on now. I started talking first, bitch.
No.
Too bad. Okay, when Victor suggests Vainqueur starts investing some of his hoard to make more money, and he just keeps slowly repeating spending, and it's like his brain slowly trying to comprehend about actually using his gold for goods and services, just not even clicking with them.
Well, because he's like, you can spend gold to make more.
Your Majesty can't even comprehend it, can he? I do like how that eventually comes back at the end with his bragging day, where in order to explain where all his hoard went, he's like, I'm so rich I can afford to spend it.
And all the dragons are just
like, oh, blasphemy. Yeah, but another funny part I thought of is particularly with Furyborn, because I think he's like one of my favorite characters besides the main two.
You've pronounced his name twice, 2 different ways.
I know.
Furybon
I
and Furybone, or whatever. It's
Furybone.
It's
again. I would need to see it written down, so that's a problem with an audiobook. I know it's fury, like angry, but I don't know if it's bone or born or bon.
Furybon.
I say bon.
It's
Furybon.
That's what I hear.
And it's spelled Furibon.
How did you look this up?
Wiki.
Oh, okay. Furybon. Okay. But yeah, after he kidnaps Victor, he's like, it's not enough to turn his gold to lead. He's got to kidnap his chief of staff, right? And then he goes and rescues him, and then he's like, you'll never stop my master's grand plan. He's like, what plan? We don't know what you're up to. It's like, and basically just finds out they attacked his castle just because he wanted a place to stash his gold. And that makes Furybon himself lose it. He's like, you like ruined all our plans, set us back, destroyed my castle, all because you wanted a place to store your gold?
Yeah.
I could understand if you just hated liches on principle, but store your gold?
I did like the fact that when they so Furybon had Victor chained up in the little throne room there, and then he summons his greatest creation, the greatest undead ever, which was like actually comparable in size. I think they mentioned to
it was close to
Vainqueur's size. And he's like, attack, and it does nothing because every single character in the area had like
the undead friend perk, and there was something else, because then he's like, all right, I'll do this instead. And because Vainqueur was, I think, invisible, it couldn't see him, so it didn't attack or whatever. But the point, because no, it was Victor and Chocolatine and whatever, all of them had the undead friend perk. Vainqueur did not. I thought he got it by doing business with Jules like Victor did.
I don't recall. I
think so, yeah.
Well, I remember him being invisible was part of the annoyance.
I know, but he could still hear him, so like...
Yeah, but point being is that it's kind of like, you know, this giant boss confrontation, but you just push a button and end it, you know, and it was like...
Yeah.
It was pretty funny to me. It's like, oh, this is... Watching the bad guy who has planned for this, you know, like, haha, I've got you right where I want you, and then just everything starts falling apart, and there was a line where he just sinks back into his chair like, this sucks. I did like Furybon's voice. I did like the voice you did for it.
I wish I could do it better.
You did it pretty good, actually. I hated Chocolatine. I hated...
Chocolatine's voice I thought fit her, but I didn't like it either. But it fit her.
And Croissant, like...
Oh, I liked Croissant's voice.
I don't like their names. Like, okay, 2 werewolves, badass. They're hillbillies. All right, I can accept that. Their name is Chuck.
It's okay, brother. He's a monster too.
It's like, okay, I can accept hillbilly werewolves. That's fine. But now you name them Chocolatine and Croissant. Like, all right, that's one too far.
Dilettante, you're in the South. Is that what hillbilly is actually named?
Not as food prevalent as that, no.
Listen, I know that...
It's more like Billy Bob Jim, shit like that.
I know I'm going to get attacked by Dilettante when I say this, but I'm going to tell you his real name on air. It's Baguette.
Alright, that's it. You've been demoted from emergency food to dinner. Good job.
Ray, protect me.
Yeah, he's my chief of staff, so yeah, you can't touch him.
We've already had this conversation.
You just demoted me. It's been recorded.
Yeah.
I'm...
demoted, but still in service.
Nope.
As my dinner.
Well, I'm higher rank in Ray's army, so I guess...
You can't be in two armies. That's not how this works.
Yeah, that's why he's just in mine.
Be quiet, Baguette.
I'm gonna murder all of you.
Sorry, my CR is higher than yours.
Fuck, there's a question I was gonna ask, but now I forgot it.
I know, there's so many things to touch on. It's I really want to go in order, but that never works. And it was just should I just pick something and run with it?
Oh, okay. No, I got one. Speaking of the hillbilly voice, the cousin dragons.
Oh,
that
I
actually
love
triggered me. That triggered me a bit. Although,
why?
just because they're cousins, just because they have to have the southern accent. I'm sorry, but dragons do not.
People.
No, we do not talk like that. All dragons should sound like Vainqueur. End of story.
No, that's your breed of dragon was all his extended family, the terrestrial dragons. Genelicium. You didn't like Genelicium?
No. Although I did find the children adorable.
Yeah, Jolene, precious, love her.
Was that the one that wanted to preserve?
Yeah. She's an activist.
Yeah, that was probably hilarious.
Yep. Did you guys read the bonus stuff at the end?
I did not. No.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
But
I was afraid my power was going to cut out because the lines were flying all over the damn place.
I summoned?
Yeah, the fuck, Ray. Yeah, Florida got a major wind hurricane storm yesterday. It wasn't like an actual hurricane, but my God, everything was blowing all over the damn place.
Yeah, well, the first bonus thing takes place 100 years ago before Vainqueur did his hibernation. And he goes on a really weird, a flashback adventure. I don't know why it was formatted as a bunch of flashbacks, but it just was, whatever. But one of them, he was at his niece Jolene's first bragging day. And so that's the one where he shows up with the princess that he caught for her as a gift, which he references at some point in the main story.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, did you release the princess I caught you for your bragging day? And she's like, yes, uncle, or whatever. But so he goes to her bragging day, and this is her first bragging day ever, and she's a little hatchling, and apparently she's living on her own because her father had a birth defect and was killed by hunters or something. Very tragic. But she's got her little hoard of copper coins, and she's so proud of it, and explaining in how she hunted them down. And I'm like, oh,
no,
my heart, it's so sweet. And everyone is trying, being impressed, and they're proud of her, and it's this is the sweet, most wholesome thing I've ever seen in this whole book. But yes, I love Jolene.
Oh, actually, I do need to ask you something, because there was a very long break I unintentionally took in between audiobook listenings. How did Viktor get into hell?
I don't remember their names. I'm really, really bad with names, but the Fulmore cast Hellgate, which teleported him to hell when she was kind of setting the arena for Vainqueur to fight Brandon Moore.
Okay, Brandon Moore. We gotta talk about this motherfucker.
Yeah, he's obviously got Matador levels, and I love it.
Does that apply to everything though? Can he just Matador any creature?
I guess so. It sounds like they have to make an intelligence check to resist the whatever the freaking cape move was called. So I guess he could attempt it on anything, but most civilized races would probably be able to make the save. So it's probably really good at fighting monsters.
He's dying.
Hey, and another ringtone.
That's another thing I wanted to bring up. Was he an elf, or was he a demon? Could all elves transform into whatever they want to, like a fucking moth?
He was half demon and I guess half elf. I would have assumed half Fomor, but I guess half elf, yeah. But he was only half demon, which is what was with the moth stuff.
Okay. Also, the intelligence revelation of Vainqueur was absolutely hilarious. We kept trying to...
He's like, I got 12 intelligence points now. And then Viktor says something like how humans started around 10. He's like, system, what was my starting intelligence? 8. What is my real starting intelligence?
The square root of 64. Much better.
And how he's kind of self-conscious about it the whole time afterwards. Yeah, that was pretty funny. It's like, Majesty, is everything all right? You're twitching. But yeah, his Dragon Day at the end, I loved it just because I loved all the dragon interactions. Again, even if they were basically borderline monstrous. I mean, barely intelligent, let's be honest, but I still liked it all. And just everyone's reaction as they're just watching all these dragons unlock the class system. It's like, you're all screwed now.
All 200 dragons suddenly become self-realization, but not all. Most of them take noble. Some of one takes a wizard.
Several took wizard. Yeah, one took sage.
One became a cook, I think.
Yes, one wanted to become a cook. But yeah, Dilaton, if you were there at that gathering, what would you have forced your way into taking?
I would have probably gone with the cliche noble.
You would have just been noble.
Yeah. If it leads me to controlling an army and wealth, then I will pick that route.
I'm going full into beastkin, whatever. I want to be friends with all the beastkin and eventually destroy humanity.
I probably would take some sort of magic class. Like I don't know what magic classes they had, but I assume they have a lot because they already had really minor niche classes for everything else. So I probably would have gone like Storm Sorcerer or something. Just make it Rena Dilaton more.
Please, no.
Yeah.
I live in Florida. I get enough rain. Please, no more.
Speaking of like little funny bits, the day after with Viktor's headache, and he wakes up in bed with whoever.
Charlemagne?
I forget her name. It wasn't Chocolatine. It was the...
Yeah, no, not Chocolatine, but it starts with a C. I want to say Charlemagne or something along those lines.
Charlene?
Charlene, yes.
Yeah. Right, but like he's worried it's Chocolatine, and so he's like slowly lifting the blanket like, please God, please no, anybody, even Pink Ranger. And I'm like, oh, poor Pink Ranger.
Well, maybe the author imagines kobolds, like the first edition D&D kobolds or something, whereas we all imagine kobolds as the cutest things on the planet.
I think in most fantasy worlds, humans are just kind of species.
Yeah, they are.
Viktor is especially species because he's getting all of these animal. His charisma keeps backfiring. I mean, he's getting all these animal females hitting on him, which he doesn't want. And then he wakes up after next to her. One of the servants comes in and announces it gives him a few stamina potions, I think, and then points to this line.
Yep, healing and stamina potions, and line of 100 people that want to breed with him.
200.
Yep.
Apparently, after the battle, most of the males died in the villages, so now he's like the most eligible bachelorette. Or bachelor.
No, bachelor. And he's like, this sucks. I'm out. Well, granted, he didn't try. He was going to man up and do it until he found out who was first in line. So we have to give him that. Chocolatine is just crazy.
Yeah, didn't he try to curse him with a cake?
No, I don't think she tried to curse him. Just wanted to make him a cake to be nice, and just happened to be made with demon eggs. Because she's all about that demon cuisine.
But she brought it up to an altar and prayed to her god to do something with the cake.
No, just offering it to him as an offering.
Oh.
Yeah. Apparently, the god of the hunt is Irish or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
It's the voice that was assigned to him. I'll ask my friend Cybele, goddess of love, on your behalf.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of the gods, Hell rebranding as Happy Land and Heaven apparently being an insurance scam. That's what I wanted to talk about.
I love that. I love this world's version of Heaven and Hell, and I'm 100% going to steal that for D&D games.
Oh, yeah, no, the fucking insect lawyers rebranding Hell as Happy Land. Trying to raise public appeal.
Focus groups have determined that Hell has bad connotations. From this point forward, we will be rebranded as Happy Land. We expect it to take over in the next 20 years. I love Malfazant. I think that was his name.
Malfazant. Was that one of the lawyers?
He was the main one. The one that ends up making the deals with Viktor. Usually referred to as Malfi for short.
Yeah, there's one thing I can never keep up with. It's fantasy names in these books. God,
I
there's
play
so
in bad
many
with
of them.
names, and then I can remember stuff like
Do you know?
Malfazan.
Do you know? As much as I hate the fact that the characters are named things like Chocolatine and Croissant, I fucking remember those names.
Yeah, they stick in your head. They got
I
you.
fucking hate it, but I remember them. Damn it.
There's one last thing I wanted to talk about, but I can't remember the context. Fucking Vainqueur bringing up human file. Do any of you remember that?
I remember him being like, "Oh, I'm not one of those disgusting humanophiles." But I
Oh,
don't
right.
remember why.
Viktor was asking what he does with the princesses when they capture them. He's like, what do you think I am, a disgusting human file?
No, we just put him on display and then release them into the wild.
I
love the fact that he says he's not one of the humanophiles means that there are dragons who are, and I am 100% for that.
No, because you get creeps like the fucking general in the Third Age of Fire book.
Which I still loved him, okay? Shit, what was his name?
I don't. It started with an S.
It was Sea Dragon.
Yeah, but you really want to get grabbed by that weirdo?
What? I'm the dragon.
Uh-huh.
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 Point is, I just loved it. All right, I love interracial couples. Okay.
We're gonna have the anatomy talk again, aren't we?
It'll fit.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. Just look at Pink Ranger's fan fiction. It'll fit.
I want to keep my sanity.
I know we finished the book and we're going to move on to the next thing, but you have to read the 2 bonus things because first off, the first one, Julian is adorable. The second one starts with a segment from Pink's fan fiction where she's writing Vainqueur and Viktor about to get it on. It's like, I'm guessing you didn't read it either then, Bantam, huh?
No, I did. But
You did? It's like after Victor's golden shower, which is a pun in and of itself.
Oh, God.
Yeah. It was because he was swimming in his master's hoard. Because his master loves him that much, he allowed him to swim in his hoard. So after his golden shower, he's very thankful to his master, and Vainqueur is like, "You are the prize jewel of my hoard. You're my most valuable possession, and I could never stand to lose you." And all this other sweet talk. It's like, now lie down on the gold coins. And then one of the kobolds is like, "What are you writing, Pink?" She's like, "Oh no." But it is wonderful. I love it. I love Pink's character just because of that.
Speaking of, didn't you think the way the dragons described Vainqueur's hoard was very phallic? They were describing how big and long and massive his hoard was.
They never said long, because that doesn't make sense.
I could have sworn I remember seeing long.
No, but I do remember Genelisium, particularly the way he was voice acted, was like, "It's so big and shiny." I'm apparently better at voices than I thought I was.
you are.
Only when I mimic, I can't come up with my own.
Oh, speaking of the mimic, the little sword, he was adorable.
Sword treasure. Was he your favorite character, Bantam?
I
You like mimics.
liked him. I did like how Viktor was like, "No, listen, treasure chests kind of outdone. Be a sword." And then he's like,
Everyone's wary of treasure chests. Now, a sword in the stone, no one can resist
so he
that.
turns into the most extravagant looking mall ninja sword ever. And he's like, "No, that's too much. Change to whatever."
I thought he turned into an oversized, like, a guts sword.
It says it turned into a big 2-hander, yes, but it was covered in jewels and gold. It looked way too...
Okay. So both,
yeah.
both.
And then he's like, no. He goes, you can... He didn't say anything about the fact that he was a 2-hander. He said that you should... it should have like a dark handle and like a good hilt or whatever. He was describing what the perfect sword would be. And so it turned into that and then wandered off. And then that's when Croissant came in and goes, "The motherfucker bit me." And he's like,
There was a sword out there and it bit my
yeah, and he's like, "Oh, he grew up so fast." And then it immediately gained levels.
Yep. Oh, Bantam, I want to ask you what your thoughts on Savarus was.
Which one was he? Remind me.
Savarus was the lizard man female.
Oh, I liked her.
That would cook her
I
own
liked
eggs.
her.
You want some breakfast?
I didn't like the voice.
down, lays
I
an
didn't
egg.
like the voice because you sound...
I can't remember her
You
voice.
sounded just like her. I immediately...
Then that was completely an accident because I
It was
do not
like a
remember her voice.
toned down version of Chocolate.
Yeah, and I mean, I liked her as a person, but
Sorry, Vic. My life was in danger.
yeah, she was all right. I mean, the fact that lizard men exist, it's like, yay.
I mean, it was a town full of gnolls and werewolves, so it's like, I'm all for that too.
Like, I remember when he was first recruiting for his army, and they were talking about, like, oh, we had this many, about 100 kobolds and some ogres and trolls, and I'm just like, yes, I want to live in this world.
So I wanted to say real fast that my favorite D&D monster races are werewolves and gnolls, so that's beautiful, that's wonderful, town full of them. But then what you said just made me want to segue into the kobolds applying for positions. Particularly like when they were first like hired, it's like, you will be interns. What's an intern?
Yeah.
And then it's like, we are interns. And then later on, when they hire the rest of the kobold hood, you are all interns. Unpaid interns.
Yay!
And Victor's like, I'm so proud.
when he promotes them to actual paid positions, and they're just like, because I think at first they're like, they're horrified. They think that they've lost their job.
Yeah, because he sends them to go get more minions. Like, I need to go to your old warrens and bring more kobolds.
Yeah, and they're like, oh,
you're not going to replace us, are you?
He's like, no.
I thought that was adorable.
You're being promoted to actual paid positions. And they're like,
you'll be in charge of all these other kobolds.
Oh my god, promoted!
We promoted! So yeah, again, the book is very cliche on everything. Like, if the dragons are cliche treasure hoarding monsters, the kobolds are cliche. We love to serve! So, yeah. But these are all cliches that are okay because I don't think the book took itself seriously at all.
No, not even remotely. That's what I loved about it. It was a good break from all the serious.
Yep. Bantam. I guess Dilettante too, but I know Bantam would have loved this part. But the Moon Man.
The Moon Man was pretty. Again, this is part of the thing where it just felt like a weird fucking side quest that didn't need to exist.
It lasted all of a chapter.
Yeah. But the Moon Man was pretty great. When he's like,
well, particularly the Moon Man's child, because I'm talking about when they're going to sacrifice him.
Yeah, and he's like, you can understand me? He's like, yeah. He's like, oh, for the love of God, tell them to stop fucking, doing this, that, or the other thing. And he's like, oh, okay, I'll go talk to them. And he comes back and they're like, and he's like, oh, so I talked to him. You can understand him? Yeah. Can y'all just like leave him alone? Like,
well, how will we show worship?
Just quiet, once in a while sacrifice. That's all he wants.
No sacrifices. It was an orgy.
An orgy. Well, no,
it was to pray in private and then on the full moon have an orgy.
Right. And then he goes back and tells them, and he's like, "Oh, thank God!" And he tries to bond to him, and he gives him the mark, and he's like, "You can be my chief of staff." He's like, "Oh, I'm already a chief of staff."
And if Vainqueur got upset over a wyvern, just imagine this.
Yeah.
See, he's loyal.
Yeah, I will say, all right, so I will say that there was a part in the book when Ray and I were listening to it at work where I was like, why, like, so at one point, Vainqueur is treated to a feast because, whatever, and he eats a whole bunch of poisoned food. They're trying to kill him. And
that was spicy.
The game narrator, I guess you could say, the game system was like, for consuming poison, you've gained the resistance to lesser poison perk. And he goes, poison? What's this? And Victor didn't even react. And my first response to that with Ray was, why is Victor not, like, concerned? And Ray's like, well, because Victor is technically being held prisoner. Like, he probably would...
He knew that they were trying to poison him, so he's just trying to not react to not get himself killed.
Well, at the same... So here's the thing. Either in Victor's position, I thought one of two things should have happened. Either he should have warned Vainqueur, or, if he liked him, or if he wanted to get away, he should have been like, no, try it again, more poison. Like the fact that he was just kind of like, we'll see what happens, was like, whatever. But
the thing is, after he thought it was a spice, he then ate the rest of their poison.
Yeah, that's true.
So they couldn't just try again.
But I did like the transition between Victor feeling like a prisoner and hating it and just doing what he's told because he feels like he has to actually caring. And
Stockholm Syndrome.
Well, I mean...
He cited that a couple times, like, am I developing Stockholm Syndrome?
Yeah.
Oh, gods.
But it's like, yeah. And then later on when Victor's killed and Vainqueur spends 12 million gold to revive him, and because he's his greatest treasure...
Yes, I want to talk about that because I loved that part, because he raises and asks who spent all the gold and whatever, and when he realizes that Vainqueur spent it and sees the hole in his hoard, and he just looks over, and the other dragons are there, like, all shocked and disappointed, like, how could anyone do that? And Vainqueur's like, my horse.
My horse.
It's like he's actually like crying, right? Then everyone leaves, and he, like you said, he explains how you are the prize jewel of my hoard. It is worth nothing without you.
Yeah.
And then Victor's like, at that moment, Victor knew he would never leave Vainqueur. And I'm like, yep.
That was sweet. And it
I
imposes
shipped-
a life debt of 12,700,619 gold coins on him.
Did you remember the fucking number?
That's probably not exactly, but that's about as close as I can remember.
Okay, I was going to be impressed for a moment there.
You can still be impressed.
It's around that
close enough.
ballpark. Yeah.
50% impressed. But yeah, just like Pink, I ship them now.
Don't be writing no chaos-inducing fan fiction, though.
I mean, I would do it just for the debuffs it applies to people.
I would love if the author of the book wrote like a collection of short stories that are all just Pink's fanfics.
Well, who knows? Maybe he did. He's written 4 books. Only the first 2 are on Audible. But I was not aware of bonus 1 and bonus 2 at the end of this one. Maybe there's more bonuses at the end of the next one. And so maybe he has just collected a bunch of short stories at the end of each book.
Maybe that's how this whole thing started. It was from the short stories from between Victor and Vainqueur.
Probably.
All right, is there anything else anybody wants to talk about? Because I run out.
Have you?
Yeah, I actually. Well, no, let's not talk about that on the podcast.
The thing is, a lot of the second book is much better than the first one. So it's like, I'm looking forward to you guys reading the second book eventually. And that's where a lot of my thoughts are going. So I'm trying to like, no, we got first book only. Tone it back a bit. Come on. I wanted to contest Bantam's Saturday morning cartoon villains. The only ones that were like that were the murder hobos from that one town. The Dark Bishop and the Turncoat.
Yeah.
Everybody else I felt like had decent motivations.
They were the
Vainqueur.
They were
Not Vainqueur. I forgot the legion's name. Furybond. He was a bit Saturday morning cartoonish with his trolling of Vainqueur. Let's be real.
He was trolling him simply because he's been stuck there for like 100+ years and was just bored out of his mind. I'd do a little trolling too if I was that bored.
You still do. What you talking about?
Yeah, I'm bored.
Well, put your entertainment somewhere else. It's not summoning a fucking rain to Florida. We get enough.
Bantam,
Yes.
what were you gonna say?
I don't remember now.
Dilettante talked over you one too many times.
Oh no, I remember now. It was the bad human guys, whatever. Which I don't remember any of their names, but they were what initially turned me off to. I think that whole arc was where I started losing interest in the book because they're so comically stupidly evil. Like, and even one of them sounded like fucking Dick Dastardly, and it was like, all right, this is obnoxious. Like, I'm an evil priest, and it's like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and
his death was pretty satisfying.
just get stepped on.
Yeah, like Victor gets some.
No, that was the Turncoat.
I don't remember which one it was. No, it was the priest because he used his spells. He was like, but he kept trying to cast spells, and Victor kept interrupting him. So, but I guess in this world, if you start casting and then get interrupted, it still consumes mana. Because
I think it consumes extra mana if you get interrupted.
Yeah, so because he was out of mana and out of spell slots, and he got stabbed in the chest, and he was on the ground bleeding out, and he's like, "You're gonna have to carry me," and then that's the big dude with the sword just fucking was like, "Nope," and ended him.
I get experience when I betray people.
Yeah, and so he stabbed the priest and killed him, and then went after the kobolds, and then that's when Vainqueur showed up and just fucking crushed him.
On accident,
but I was just like, good. Get rid of these fucking characters. They're obnoxious.
Yeah. So, Dilettante.
Yes.
You enjoyed all the live swallowings?
Yes. That was something I wanted to talk about, but I didn't know if it was right for the podcast. All right, but no, yeah, it was fantastic. This was probably the most gluttonous dragon I've ever read. He ate a quest giver. His entire hiring process was based on how edible his staff could be, because he didn't want to do a golem, because he couldn't eat it.
If the dryad is portly enough for 2, then okay.
During the arena fight, he swallowed the Matador whole, which then transformed inside of his stomach into a moth, which upset him so much, threw him back up, then went to go eat the audience to stop them from cheering.
Yep, gotta get rid of the buffs.
Then when the demons invaded, they became the buffet for the actual party that Vainqueur was throwing, so that backfired on him.
Mm-hmm.
And then the invasion, they just pretty much told the dragons, like, hey, those elves are ruining your food. And then they started eating them. There was barely any fire breathing. It was all just consuming.
So would you rate this a 4 out of 5?
Yes. Also, I'm going to hit you for that pun the next time I see you.
It was a good one.
It was a horrible one. That was blue levels of puns. Okay. You might do this to me, Ray.
Because your suffering brings me pleasure.
It's very disturbing.
Once you surrender Bantam to me, you'll feel better.
No, well, I can endure.
Just imagine Bantam sitting there and he's got 2 dragons offering him gifts of like magic items and jewels and stuff.
Do you want to know what I'd
pick? Which one you want?
Do you know what I'd actually do? I'd tell you guys that I need to go for a walk to decide, and then I'd go live in the kobold caves.
Why?
Because I'm gonna be living with the kobolds.
Why don't you love us?
I do, but I can't decide, so I'm gonna go love the kobolds.
Well, joke's on you. I got the Chief of Staff summoning perk. I just say Bantam, he pops up right next to me.
You're not high enough level for that.
You don't know my level.
Yeah, it's 2.
So I'm going to, in the kobold cave, I'm going to have a circle of anti-magic. I'm basically, you'll do that and I won't show up. As long as I'm in the kobold cave, then I can't be summoned anywhere because I got null chalk.
You know, Soren's been bugging me for a counter to the anti-magic fields. He wants an anti-magic artifacts. I'm like, no, that doesn't work that way.
He only got anti-magic like once.
Yeah.
And he already wants a counter to it. Oh, boy.
I want to end this episode, I guess. I can't think of anything else, to be honest.
Yeah. I guess we can. I'm trying to, like, rack my brain. I don't want to, like, end it and, like, 2 hours later, like, God damn it, I forgot to mention this. So I'm, like, trying to just real fast go through my head, like, think we got everything.
You're still going to find something later.
I know. That's going to drive me crazy.
It's inevitable. You've already cursed yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm trying to think about it too, but I've covered all of my points of interest.
Imagine if I didn't worship the sanctity of paper so much, and so I could just have the physical book and just fold the corner of the page. Oh, I can't even say it. But just do that when I find something I want to bring up later to just help mark it.
I mean,
no, you just get...
There's an invention called a bookmark.
Yeah, you can get, like, little strips of colored paper.
Or even do, like, a piece of thread and just stick it in
have you
crevice.
Have you ever seen that meme?
Something as small as thread doesn't feel secure enough to stay in there with how much I'd move it around, though.
Have you ever seen that meme where someone put, those little translucent colored markers that you used to mark, where you sign on a document or whatever, and they marked up the Game of Thrones book where characters die, and you can actually see the chunk in the book when the Red Wedding happens?
Oh yeah.
Because he had like 5 different colors. There was suicide, accidental death, murder, poison, and something else or whatever. And it's just all these little colored tabs all throughout the book.
Oh, there is something I want to talk about. It's not related to the book, though. I am actually going to be starting my own little segment at the end of the podcast. It's going to be a Dragon News segment related to anything coming out. And as
a what segment?
It is
Dragon News.
Dragon News.
You said
what
it.
Do you think, Dragon Nudes?
Yeah. Dragon Nudes.
Okay, Dragon News at the beginning of the podcast, Dragon Nudes at the end.
Yes, that's how it works. All right. But as of this recording, January 22nd, there will be an official demo released for a Half-Life 1 mod coming out called Half-Life Year of the Dragon, where you'll be able to play as Spyro throughout the entire Black Mesa complex. The demo will, I believe, only feature the Office Complex level, the 3rd chapter. From what I've seen so far, they are doing a complete revamp of the entire, the voice acting, the combat, the AI systems of Half-Life. Cut content from the beta versions where, like, the little alien slaves that shoot the green lightning, they'll actually be able to revive one another. Spyro will not be using Gordon Freeman's weapons. He will still only have his charge and fire. He will be wearing a cute little HEV suit, which I absolutely love. All the hallways and vents that you usually have to crouch around have been redone to fit Spyro. Instead of rescuing dragons, Like in Year of the Dragon, you'll still be rescuing scientists trapped in crystals, which I fucking love.
Dilettante sent me a little clip of it, and it's a scientist frozen in green crystal, and you go up and it does the little shake thing, and then it explodes, and it's, oh, hi there.
You know what the worst part about this is, though?
What?
It's Half-Life.
No, you shut up.
You're taking everything that's good about Spyro and ruining it by combining it with something as dumb as Half-Life.
Oh, no. It's Half-Life being combined with Spyro. They were actually changing the entire combat system to where the Marines, where they shoot you, just instantly hit you. That's becoming an actual projectile you can dodge.
Dilettante, didn't you say that you needed a chief of staff? I think...
Or just because I don't like Half-Life?
I don't like Half-Life that much either.
There we go.
It's all right.
What the fuck?
It's a game.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
I picked the wrong podcast.
Dude, if you want to know my favorite shooter, it was Killzone.
Killzone was good, but it's nothing compared to Half-Life. I mean, come on. The fact that you can mod Spyro into fucking Half-Life should prove everything.
Mod Spyro into anything you want.
can mod any game into anything. It's just how many fans of that game are willing to spend the time to do it.
And how dedicated you are trying to make it work. You're turning a first-person shooter into a third-person platform. That's not something that can easily be done. They've been working on this since, I think, 2018. They've completely moved from the Half-Life Gold Source engine, which was the Half-Life 1 engine, to the actual Source, which is where Half-Life 2 and Half-Life Source take care. So they're actually importing a lot of the models from the Spyro Reignited trilogy into the new mod. Listen, I'm excited for it, okay? I want to charge into headcrab zombies and fucking burn water guns.
From the video that Dilettante sent me, it actually does look fun. Like it's a brand new Spyro game.
I'd rather just play Spyro.
Well, yeah, but you've already played Spyro and you already know everything that's going to happen. This is a new Spyro.
Yeah, completely voiced. I think I might be wrong about this, but I think the scientists who voiced the ones at Black Mesa are going to do custom work for the scientist in Spyro. So instead of addressing him as Gordon, they'll actually address him as Spyro, which I fucking love. I'm excited to see what if they actually do the intro sequence for Half-Life 1. I want to know what Anomalous Materials is going to be like. Well,
I'm glad you found something to entertain yourself, but it does not sound like it's for me.
Well, we're all entitled to our wrong opinions. This is going to be for everybody, man.
Dilettante and I can do a duo episode.
Do you think there'd be enough bullshit in that to have an episode?
No.
Oh, abso-fucking-lutely.
No, because it's just Spyro. Like, everybody knows about Spyro. At that point, it would just be talking about the Half-Life game.
Like, if we would even do an episode on, like, actual Spyro, we couldn't do, like, the original game, because there's no freaking lore there. We'd have to do, like, The Legend of Spyro, where Cinder came into it. Because that at least has story to it.
And Skylanders! Yay!
Like
nobody acknowledges Skylanders.
There'll be a 5-minute aside in the middle of that episode, like, and Skylanders was a thing that happened,
no.
Yes.
Please justify my thousands of dollars. Dilettante, I don't know if you know this.
That's a Bantam's hoard. It's just Skylanders.
I have 3 giant boxes of Skylander toys in my closet.
I thought you had only 1. It was 3?
No, I have 3 boxes of Skylanders.
Oh my god.
Well, all right, to be fair, 2 of the boxes are toys and the other box is the portals and accessories. But yeah, I spent probably close to about $7,000 to $8,000 on Skylanders throughout the course of 5 years. And that's after my discounts because I was a manager at GameStop. Every time we'd get a new Skylander in, like an exclusive to GameStop, me and my assistant manager would both put one aside for ourselves, and then we'd put the other 4 out because they'd come in 6-packs, and they'd sell instantly. And then parents would be like, "The internet says you have 2 more. Where are they?" I'd be like, "No, that's incorrect. We don't have 2 more." "Yeah, I know you've got them in the back and you're hiding them for yourself." And I'm like, "What? No, I don't even care about Skylanders. This is bullshit." And they'd leave. And then at the end of the day, when we're closing up, we'd buy our Skylanders and go home.
Assholes.
Listen, all right. When your entire job is here's your list of tasks to do all day. Now also babysit other people's fucking kids because they come into the store, dump their kids, and go off shopping in the mall. And then they'd come back with security screaming and crying because their kid's gone. And they're like, "Well, where did he go?" I'm like, "I don't know. It's not my job to watch your goddamn children." "Well, I left him here." "That's on you. You're a bad parent." like the amount of time, and security would always have my back, and they'd be like, "Yeah, they're not. This isn't a babysitting service. If your kid wanders out, it's not his responsibility to know that or to chase after them." I hated the people. I loved my job. I loved GameStop, mostly because it gave me access to stuff that I wanted.
A little controversial there saying you love GameStop, but okay.
I did. I liked working around video games because to me, going to work never felt like work. There were times where I'd pull a double because they needed it, and I would just be like, all right, and I had no problem with working there. But especially when Skylanders was out, I kept that job purely because I needed an in every time we got a shipment of Skylanders. I could go into the computer system and make sure we ordered a case of this particular Skylander so that I could buy one. It was good shit.
That's my face right now, Dillatin. Listening to this tangent, yeah. I have to cut this whole thing out.
All right, that's it. I'm going to live with the kobolds. Fuck you both. No, fuck you
Phantom,
both.
No one cares about your life outside the podcast.
Yep, don't care. Fuck you both. I'm gonna go live with the kobolds. I'm gonna create an army of kobolds, and I'm gonna overthrow both of you.
Oh, you're bringing our dinner to us. Thank you.
No, they're gonna be level 100 dragon slayers. Fuck you. All right. Anyway, so we mention this every episode, but we do have our Twitter. It is at official wadpod. Our email is wadpodcastmail@gmail.com. No one ever emails us, though.
Makes me very sad.
Makes us both very sad.
All three of us very sad.
All three of us.
Please
Please
I'm here too.
Tree Cynics.
You're here about half the time.
Tree Cynics sent us an email like a long time ago, and it made Ray so fucking happy to get an email from a fan.
Okay, I'm going to cut all this out because A, it makes me sound pathetic, and B, it sounds like begging.
Okay.
So, Bantam, where can they find us?
So, they can find... So...
Why is that so funny?
Our Twitter is at officialwadpod. Our email is wadpodcastmail@gmail.com. You should definitely send us an email. We do have a Patreon. It's literally just there as a tip jar right now until we, figure out what kind of fun stuff we can put up there. But our Patreon is World of Dragons Podcast. And Dillatin, what are we going to be doing next?
Before that, I just want to cut in and be like, as far as the Patreon goes, if you have suggestions on what we can offer, let us know. We'd like to give you guys stuff. We just don't really know what would be good to hide behind the Patreon wall. It's like if Dillatin hadn't gotten sick, we were going to do a dramatic reading of one of the scenes from The Golden Treasure. But because he got sick, we weren't able to do that. If we did it now, I was thinking of putting it behind Patreon, but that could be scummy. So give us some feedback, all right?
To our email.
Yeah, well, that'd probably be the easiest way to do it, yeah.
All right, go ahead, Dillatin.
All right, so what we'll be doing next is Dragon Goes House Hunting.
No, wrong.
That's next after we do
That's
Angels.
double next.
Angels with Scaly Wings. For
Right,
Valentine's
I forgot about
Day.
that.
Do you want me to announce Angels and then you can announce the house hunting after that?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so not next week. I need to stop doing next week. People are going to think this is a weekly show. Do you guys want to make this a weekly show?
No.
No.
I'll tell you what, listeners, if you give us enough Patreon money that we can quit our day jobs, we'll do this as a weekly show.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
All right, so next episode, which should be going up, I think, 5 days before Valentine's Day, we were going to do a dating sim. Angels with Scaly Wings, which I think is the most well-known dragon dating sim. So yeah, you, the player, are an ambassador for Earth sent through a mysterious portal into the world of dragons. What? No way, amazing. Explore a town full of secrets and the people who keep them in this compelling sci-fi visual novel with slice-of-life and dating sim elements. It is made by a studio called Radical Fi.
And then afterwards, we are going to be reviewing the anime and possibly the manga of Dragon Goes House Hunting. The manga was released in December 2016, and as of this recording, the entire first season is up on Funimation for listeners to listen to for free, to my knowledge. It has been completely dubbed and is available. It is about a young dragon by the name of Letty who gets kicked out of his family's house and teams up with a elf by the name of Daria to try to find himself a new lair.
I think that specifically Daria is a real estate agent, right?
Yes, Daria is a real estate agent, and it's got the same LitRPG kind of framework as Vainqueur the Dragon. Which is probably
Does he level up?
He doesn't level up, but he does have his own stat block. Everybody does.
Okay. And yeah, Angels of Scaly Wings can be found on Steam for about $10 if you guys want to play it before we get to it. All right, so I think that's about everything for this episode.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm checking to see if I got everything right about Year of the Dragon, and yes, I did. I'm happy about it.
Year of the Dragon?
Or Half-Life Year of the Dragon.
Oh, okay. The thing that no one cares about.
Everybody cares about it.
All right. Thank you for joining us, listeners. Madlings.
Emergency
food supply. We'll see you next time.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.